I don't know who needs to hear this, but your tax refund, it is not free money. It is not a bonus. So please do not treat it as such. I want to dive into why getting a tax refund, while feels amazing, is probably a sign that you are not as financially optimized as you should be. Now, let's talk about how you even get to the point of getting a refund. When you start a job, you all fill out what's called a W-4 form. And the W-4 form is just a sheet of paper where you get to select how many dependents you have. And the higher number that you put, the less money they take. Because the idea is, if you have more people to take care of, then you need more of your money right now. And most people on the W-4 form put 0, whether they have dependents or not. And because of that, the government overtaxes them throughout the year. And by the end of the year, when they fill their taxes out, the government says, here's a check for all the money that we took that was actually yours because we overtaxed you. And everyone cheers and says, yay, we got our money back. What are we doing? Basically, we are in a position now in this world where we are happy to have the government hold our money for us while we struggle throughout the year. And that's the part that's crazy to me because, again, if you're somebody who you got money month to month and you're not worried about paying your bills, this isn't for you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who are struggling month to month but then get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 back. How can you possibly afford to let the government hold your money? You can't. That's the answer. You cannot. You can't tell me I can't pay my bills in December and then I am flush with cash in February. It doesn't make any sense. It means that you are being overtaxed. And part of the reason for that, most likely, is because of the elections that you made on your W-4 form. Now, what does this mean for you and for the government? Well, look at it from the government's perspective. They love the fact that you're getting overtaxed because essentially what you're giving them is a 0% interest-free loan for a year. Basically, you are doing for the government what credit cards do for people who need to do balance transfers. 0% introductory fee. I don't got to pay no interest. That's what you're doing for the government, but you do it indefinitely every single year. And all they got to do is pay you back. Just give you your money back. They're borrowing your money and just going hog wild with it. As long as you get your check at the end of the year, you're like, I'm good. We cannot afford to be throwing that money away. Not because we're going to be so much better off with, the $300, $400, $500 that we're going to make all this insane interest on the money. No, it's because when we give away money we can't afford to, we put ourselves in worse financial positions. If you have credit card debt right now and you're getting a tax refund, you could have had that money earlier in the year. You could have paid that credit card off. That's how we need to be thinking. How is it that we can optimize our position? Now, you might be watching this and saying, well, I'm good. I might look into that next year, but I'm getting a refund this year. What am I supposed to do now? It's already done. Well, you're right. It is already done for this year. And if you're getting a refund, congratulations. Now you have a choice to make. What are you going to do with that money so that you can put yourself in a better financial position? Because now that you have placed yourself in this position, all you can do is make the best of it. Now, you have a couple of choices. You can either do what most people do and blow that money and act as if that money is going to be coming in every month. Just splurge, take your kids on a fancy vacation, act as if you have no bills. Or you can take a very hard look at where you are financially and start paying off some bills, start paying off some debt, start saving some money. Hell, maybe you start a emergency fund. That thing you have never had, maybe you should start that so that if something comes up, you are not without funds. That's what I would do if I found myself in a position where I had no money normally, but I'm getting this big refund. I would look to better my position because there's no guarantee that you're going to make the exact same amount of money, that you're going to get the same amount back in taxes. And the next thing I would do if I'm getting a big refund is I'd go talk to a tax professional. I would go ask them, what can I do to make sure I don't get this big refund next year. Now, when I say tax professional, I need to put a disclaimer here because I know some of you all think you know tax professionals. I mean someone who is licensed with the government to represent you in the event that you have questions that the IRS needs answered. Someone who has a license that can say, yep, here is why we have selected to do things this way and file this way. Not your cousin who has tax software. I don't want Susie running your shit through TurboTax saying you're good. No, you're not good. That's how we got here in the first place. That's how our shit's not optimized to begin with. So let's start using actual professionals. And yeah, you're going to pay for the pleasure because that's what real service looks like. You get professional service that you can depend on and you pay for it. That's what you're going to do. But don't worry, you've got a big tax refund so you can afford it. Instead of doing things extra for yourself, you're going to spend $200, $300, $400 on someone who is actually worth the time. And they are going to get you in a better spot. And the first thing you're going to ask them is, I notice I'm getting a big refund this year. What can I do to optimize my tax situation so that I'm getting that money throughout the year instead of in a big lump sum at the end of the year? And they should be able to walk you through how to appropriately fill out your W-4 form. Again, I'm a YouTube person. Don't listen to me. Go to someone who is actually licensed in this because that's what I'm about to do this year. I got a meeting next week to talk to somebody about it. So please talk to a professional. And lastly, I just want to say to everyone who is used to getting a refund, who likes the idea of getting that check because it feels good, understand something. Just because something feels good does not mean it is a good decision. I know getting a big check feels like the best thing in the world. And how could getting money be wrong, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there's a better way to do it. And if you are willing to put in the time and talk to people who are licensed and trained to do this, you will find out what those things are. People who actually have money are not getting tax refunds at the end of the year. They're just not. A lot of them are paying. Now, I'm not saying you need to pay every year, but you need to talk to someone who can get you as close to zero as possible, meaning you don't owe very much or you don't get very much back. Tax time should not be exciting. There's nothing exciting about tax time unless you have already unoptimized your position, which means you could have been getting more money at some other time and the government's just handing it back to you. The only time it's exciting is if we have already messed something up. And that's how I know we have a lot of people who are in a position that is worse than it could be because everyone gets really excited about tax time because they're getting all the money back. Taxes aren't exciting. Just understand, real financial wealth, real freedom in this finance game is boring as hell. Anytime you get real excited about something in the short term, it usually isn't nearly as good as you think. And if it is really as good, like maybe you have a year, for example, in the stock market where you make 30, 40% because the market's just crazy. Understand it all evens out. You're going to have some rough years too. This is a long-term game. Long-term. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. Your job is to keep yourself emotionally right here, level, so that you can make good decisions with this. Because if this is too high or too low, you start to get a little kooky with your decision making, and you don't want that. So that's my advice to the people at tax time. Remember, Uncle Sam wants you to get a refund because that means he's getting a loan. I'll talk to y'all later.